What is happening, everyone? So I wanted to check out the new Elden Ring DLC. We're gonna see what's actually in it. So if you guys do not want to see it and want to go in blind, I would suggest clicking off now, because I believe this guy's gonna show all 34 weapons, moveset, spells, Ash, and ton more items. But without further ado, let's jump on in, because I really want to see this. I don't want to go in blind. I want to know what the hell they have.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Raze Gaming. Today we're taking a more in-depth look at the recent Red Bull Shadow of the Erdtree event. A bunch of creators and a person from Bandai played the game early and then showed live footage of that. I highlighted the basics of the event in a recent video, but now we're going to look at the real details.
We're only like 3 days away
weapons
too.
Work, the descriptions, the stats, all the good stuff. But with that in mind, this is kind of two sections. The first is going to be the Bandai guy playing the opening of the DLC,
And that dude did look like he's been playing Elden Ring for a long time.
Second is the creators that played in that frozen jail section, also resulting in a boss fight. But comparing the two, it's very different. The Bandai guy's gameplay was pretty sterile. He often avoided engaging with anything for too long and rejected most questions asked, so it was a lot more vague. There were still new details and things to consider, even
that's a cool looking boss right there.
But in the section of the creators, it was free game. Looking at the inventory and the stats, playing with everything they could, it was great. So there's a lot to look at in terms of detail. Let's begin. To start, we have the 20-ish minute section with a Bandai representative. We kick off at the very first location of the DLC, the Gravesite Plains, on a knight-looking character build. This preset uses a light greatsword, one of the new 8 weapon types, and this one's the one we've seen, Milady, hilariously, and is set up for deck scaling at a B grade.
Birds,
the actual was called wing stance.
I hate those
allows
things.
you to follow up with either a light or heavy,
birds in general in games,
resulting in kind of combo attacks that deal great damage, but you will be left stuck in the combo, so timing of that seems pretty important. Plus, because it's a one-hand weapon in this case, we're able to run it easily with a shield for defensive exploration while we're new, or say run a seal and staff. So I do think this setup looks great. Also, the knight is wearing an entirely new armor set we've never seen, that's never been revealed directly. It looks incredible, engraved with a wonderful design. We didn't get to see the name of it. The shield he's using is a new one too. It's officially a Mesmer Soldier shield. Alright, so the first thing I want to highlight is the hilarious new enemy type, these ghostly worms, which are a fan favorite when they're revealed in...
Yeah, I don't know what the obsession guys with these worms were. I don't know. I just thought they were just there, nothing crazy, but they're kind of...
screenshots.
Yes, fan favorites, so whatever.
They're passive enemies until you attack
them.
Oh,
they are.
And then because there's tons of them, they terrifyingly all aggro at once. And I saw 2 main attacks. Firstly, all their heads turn red, turning them into this kind of bulbous club they try to bash you with, which is incredible. And they also seem to spit out their own, seemingly, innards or something of that nature. Maybe it's a grab attack that they avoided. Very gross. Through this exploration, though, 2 key items are found in these ruins near the starting area. First, we have the hefty cracked pot, which was confirmed in the conversation the hosts were having to be that big explosive jar we saw in the gameplay trailer originally. This means you'll find this pot in this location, and then you'll be able to craft them. Maybe there'll be more pots of types to find, but at least this huge explosive option is really early and easy to get. Also, up here is a talisman in this chest, the Blade of Mercy. He would not look at it directly, but did explain that it's tied to critical hits, so maybe it's like one of the Hornet rings or something, extra critical hit damage.
My question is, a lot of people are going to be hating on that throwable, because I'm going to be using that shit like crazy. If you craft it, I'm going to be using it on everything.
We'll see. Next, we had the Fire Giant Enemy, the roaming Wickerman style
that thing looks
we saw in the different trailers.
Badass as hell.
In this showcase, we saw 2 main attacks from it, which were both stomp attacks. One's like a stomp in a huge circle around the location, or a long distance kind of cone that'll catch you out. It appears both are attacks you can jump over, especially easy when you're on torrent, but the moveset will be probably more involved in that. Sadly, as a roaming side boss like the Golden Tree Sentinel, he didn't really engage with it and runs away. Next up, we have our first Scatter Tree fragment found at the first Mikola rune. These are used graces under the new menu option, as you can see, Shadow Realm Blessing. This will enhance your damage and apparently also weaken the enemies. We will be able to do this multiple times. I want to kind of go back to that a little bit. Enhance your damage.
Found across the realm, consume these at sites of grace to bolster your... That's pretty cool.
See Shadow Realm Blessing. This
will made the game easier then,
and apparently also weaken the enemies. We will be able to do this multiple times using these fragments to permanently change the difficulty of the Shadowlands. More fragments consumed or used makes the game or the DLC easier. It's important to know that this has no effect on the normal game that lands between, but will be very important to actually engage with, since even though this player is 150 with fully upgraded gear, he is getting absolutely smashed and dies even to normal enemies at one point. I think using 0 fragments in your playthrough will be akin to a challenge run, so we'll need to work out what the
so I'm going to use some fragments for sure.
Also in that menu you could see the revered Spirit Ash Blessing. If you had those, these will make your Ash Spirit summons deal more damage, also make Torrent more survivable, which is nice. Moving forward then, here's 2 enemy types. We have a new knight with a shield and hammer.
Oh, that looks badass right there too.
You can use yourself based on the created gameplay section. And then there's an axe wielding foe that actually kills the player at one point. I highlight these because they use
That's an axe or a hammer?
There's the hammer and shield, Ash of War-like attacks. They're dealing big damage. They're a real threat, and this is just a normal enemy. The DLC seems like the base difficulty then is going to be a lot higher. The axe warrior was using a stomp like Godfrey, and then swapped weapons multiple times during the fight.
Guys, did you see the amount of damage? That was like 2 hits with that fucking axe. Holy crap.
It is
really grab that hammer, though.
At that point, we also saw a weapon swap. They're now using the dual weapons, the reverse swords. These are called the backhand blades and come with the Ash of War blind spot. This has the player dash to the side, maybe with iframes, and uppercut the target. It looks like a good way to avoid an attack while also dealing your own at the same time. And again, a dex focus setup was shown, so it's cool to see. The basic attacks are fast and effective at locking down foes.
Oh man,
if
that's
you don't
pretty
get
cool.
Interrupted. And without quick day attack, I wonder about the potency of status or bleed or something like that with these kind of weapons, if that's possible. Ahead of that section, we see a faction fight. The Messmer soldiers are described by the commentary are fighting a new enemy type called ogres. The ogres are clearly not part of the faction of Messmer, so you'll find these battles and types of faction battles around the DLC. In any case, the player swaps to an original weapon type, the Colossal Sword. This is a new one in this case, called the Fire Knight's Great Sword. They've got it in Keen, so it's got an impressive A scaling despite being a Colossal Sword. However, it's also got fire damage, so it scales with Faith too. The Ash of War Flame Spear lights the weapon on fire for a little while and also has you thrust forward, credible range, poking with a fire blade you create. Also, at the swings of the sword for a Colossal Sword feel very quickly, and obviously because it's so big, heavy hits stagger the ogres easily. But that brings us to the final bit of this section, the boss fight. This is the first major boss fight of the DLC.
See what we got.
You will need to beat this to progress the main story, so it's kind of a build
Divine
and
Beast,
skill
Dancing
check,
Lion.
like Margit originally. This is called the Divine Beast, the Dancing Lion, and we likely find this in the area just beyond the first Mikla rune we saw earlier. Area is called Belarap and appears to be the city that was purged by Messmer and his army. The boss, as you get here, is
trying to see, I can't.
Dead, but something revives it.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it.
Prevent your progress.
Pretty cool.
Here.
Pretty cool.
In terms of mechanics, this dancing lion fits the name. It's split into 2 targetable sections, upper body, lower body, like a torso and tail. It attacks with both at the same time, it rears up, and it even appears to float at points, spinning around in hard to predict ways, delaying its attacks to be a nightmare. We also see our first new summon the Black Knight Commander Andreas. This popular summon was used very commonly in the play session by the creators. Yes, it also appears to be the same enemy that player fought earlier, using the same kind of holy Ash of War attack. Anyway, the boss uses things like Grey Breath to beam out or AoE, goes for command grab style lunges with the mouth, it slams and flips, spins and darts around. I think this looks amazing.
That looks tough.
When it reaches half health, it enters phase 2, charging itself with lightning. Lightning strikes begin to slam down around the arena, while the boss becomes a lot more floaty, flippy, spinny, even more aggressive. Unfortunately, the player dies pretty quick, but it does look cool. This then brings us to the creator section, a new area.
Guys, let me know what you think of that one. That was cool. I was worried about a lot of these bosses gonna look the same. They're not being cheap with the DLC at all, which I'm happy with. But From Software's always good with stuff like that.
Creators were able to play freely, way less restrictive in what they do. They instantly all go to the menus and look at all the items. They've been given one of all the different 8 new weapon types and few new weapons of the originals with new movesets to consider. So there's a lot to cover here, but the area they play in is a kind of frozen jail. It's a place with hanging warrior jars, so of course you're finding warrior jars to fight here too. But worse, there's these new enemies. They're bloated, meaty, shaped like they've been crammed into those very jars. In fact, they have. They even ambush you from them. It appears that these are some kind of original warrior jar. Maybe this is part of the process.
Look a little annoying, honestly.
Early experiments, but whatever they are, they're very
Oh,
deadly.
there they are.
I saw many players die to their self-explosion attacks, or how they suddenly rip out their own meat and grab you with it. It's horrifying. Other
crap.
enemies exist here, like the shadowy pygmies or rats in the dark area. But overall, what you've got here is a large cave that goes down, layer by layer, until you reach the bottom, where there is a new unique boss fight. But let's first cover all the new weapons, spells, and summons.
I
We
wanna
already
see this.
looked at the light greatsword and the new colossal sword, as well as the reverse grip swords. So let's now look at the hand-to-hand fist fighting option. As showcased here, we have a dual-wielded weapon that is you. The light attack combo uses a long string of both fist and kick attacks, dealing great stagger.
Guys, I'm gonna definitely try that. I'm gonna probably get my ass kicked. He's like fucked up Bruce Lee right there.
And strike style blows. The heavy attacks are slower with more of a
No
force
coordination
behind them,
at all.
creating those shock waves in the air. The Ash of War, Dry Leaf Whirlwind, is that spinning aerial kick combo we've seen in trailers before. Potent double spin kick into a downward slam from the air, which was so effective, one player spammed that to victory against the boss blindly.
Oh, crap.
Also, they're dex scaling weapons, so it's a very awesome pick for that. Moving on, we have the throwing blade, a dual weapon. This means you can one-hand it, or if you two-hand it, you get double the amount of thrown knives, which is great. You have the light attack combos, and heavy, which basically
I was never
throws
really into
slower
that.
but harder hitting throws, and then the Ash is piercing throw, which appears to be an even
That kind of
harder
playstyle
hitting,
anyway.
but FP costing throw, which may even pierce enemies. The whole setup requires just stamina though if you're not using the Ash, so it is infinite knives to throw, you're not limited. Next we have the new original types of weapons that all come with basic throws as part of their kit. Take the normal axe with a normal moveset. Heavy attack throws the axe, which returns to you after a delay. This can be repeatedly thrown back to back for incredible DPS from a safe distance. I saw that used to kill many.
Guys, tell me that's not like Kratos. Holy crap, that's awesome actually.
Of the exploring enemies very
I don't know if that was
easily.
any,
You can also
I don't know if it
do
was in the
jump
original game.
running
Let me know in the
throws,
comments because
faster
I never
output,
did that
but
move.
with a delay after, so you can't chain them out. But I think this is going to be a lot better for these kind of basic weapons that were underused. Like, for example, we have the new Great Hammer here.
Maybe it was.
Again, normal hammer bonks, very straightforward, but we have the new heavy attack, which causes you to spin multiple times into a throw. While that's a lot slower than the axe to do, they're heavier hits with more stagger. I saw this become quite popular for progressing against the bigger
I might
enemies,
switch to a hammer.
AoEing them down with hammer throws. Also, there's the new throwing spears, which again do the same thing. You can throw it, it'll return to you like that one Ash, but faster.
Sparta.
Our next fist style weapon is the new Beast Claw. These strength scaling fist weapons come with bleed build up passively, and as dual weapons, you have fast combo attacks, which are quite visceral here. They're very vertical and slammy and bestial in nature, slamming down at the end of the light combo.
That's pretty cool.
While the heavy charged attacks jump and slam down as small gap closers with some serious weight behind them.
Telling you right now, guys, this DLC might be taking up all my time. Especially, I want to switch with a lot of these weapons. Let me know what you're gonna start out with. You gonna stick with what you got, or you're gonna be switching?
So expect
it's
they
crazy.
will stagger super well. The Ash of War, Red Bear Hunt, is the FP costing air swipes we see. They come out pretty quick, and again, they have real weight behind them, kind of like the heavy attacks. The next weapon to look at is the new perfume bottles, which do not cost FP to attack at all. In fact, these are dex scaling weapons, and interestingly, looking at the stats, they're fully fire as well. So that should be great or horrible at times. In any case, the light attacks create these X symbols in front of you, while the heavy spins around in AoE. Pretty cool. Interestingly, the Ash was a basic kick, so maybe we can change these to apply our own Ash. We will have to see. I feel like it's going to be more restricted. Moving on, we have the thrusting shield, a shield that's actually a weapon with dex scaling in this case.
I gotta say,
because this is specifically the dueling shield. It has a basic swing and thrust style moveset, as you might
That's some
imagine.
medieval crap
we
right
have
there.
seen a different shield type with a unique Crucible Ash of War as you leap up into the air and dash forward. So there's going to be multiple combat style shields, it would seem. This one was used by a streamer to destroy the boss though, basically just guarding and punishing the open windows, even guard countering until a stagger. This was shockingly easy and effective compared to a lot of the kills I saw. They were also able to critically punish the boss with a shield, so that's awesome. Finally, we have the weapon not
That looks a little OP. I think that's gonna get nerfed if it's that strong, because he was just doing work to that boss
shown
right
until now, the new Great Katana. Naturally, it comes with bleed build-up and is one set to keen for dex. I do think there's a chance you could run something like this with strength, but we'll definitely have to see on that. Either way, it is amazing. I think this is going to be very popular. It has a mix of swings, thrusts, and vertical slices that fit the bill for whatever you might need. Say there's an aerial enemy, you could be very vertical. Maybe there's one at a distance, you can thrust. Maybe you need to cleave, so the heavies are more horizontal attacks for that purpose. The jump attack looks incredible. The Ash, though, that steals the show. It's the overhead stance. You hold the weapon overhead and then slam down with up to 3 strikes. From looking at it, you seem to be able to do a triple attack
that's nuts.
or a single. Maybe you can choose. Maybe the heavy attack is a single attack. But in any case, this looks very strong, very versatile. I really think it's going to be popular. But now the weapons are covered, there's also the spells. Unfortunately, we didn't
I might switch that katana too now. I'm going to try everything.
Here's what I did see. The amazing aspect of the Crucible Bloom spawns a flower out of your chest, which summons down these rays.
I think I got all my bells unlocked, so I got all the upgrade stuff.
This was shockingly effective against the boss. The damage was really good. There was also the gravitational missile, which seems to spawn in a pull zone.
I never really
but it didn't seem to
tried
deal
spells,
great
so
damage.
I'm not too sure.
It might have missed in this footage, though. We'll see. There was also a glimpse of something called Miriam's Vanishing, which seemed.
Guys, I'm kind of curious. Let me know if in these type of games you think like spell and casters are like kind of like easy mode for these games. I like to know because that's what a lot of people claim. I never got into it.
Whatever purpose,
never did.
Easier stealth. The amazing Knight's Lightning Spear was used to great effect against the boss, though. It's just a standard
I don't know whatever they're called.
Style spear throw, but it also spawns in these lightning bolts that fire off after a delay, which absolutely destroys and interrupts the boss really well. Pest thread spears were also used. These basically shoot the threads out like wings from your back in greater number.
Look at this dude's face. It's like sucked in.
New. It's kind of a delayed glintstone shot that fires from a weird angle, seemingly suitable for PvP. There's also a multiple shot version too. The new dragon style roar, but instead it's a bear. It's called the Roar of Rugalia. It simply roars quickly around you like a Greyyall roar, but it deals damage over time and then a build up of burst damage at the end. I think that might stagger or cause some kind of effect. It's hard to tell, but it is interesting. Lastly, I also saw the Divine Bird Feathers, which basically hold the arms out to the side, then whip out these kind of shotgun blasts of feathers you can repeatedly send out. It's very cool. Obviously, there was 3 summons shown. There's the classic knight we've already seen. There's the little spectral hand and a bird. Nothing was too interesting with these, though the hand seemed to be able to do the AoE slow or maybe stun, but we never saw good examples of it really doing its job. Most people use the knight. The last thing I want to mention, though, is the boss itself. Obviously, I talked about this in detail in my first reaction video, so in short, it's a stealthy assassin, Omen style of boss. It generates this dark cloud as its main mechanic. It puts you and itself in the dark, which seems to be dispellable. We think it's by generating light yourself, by holding out a torch or a lantern. It is hard to tell the true details of that, but in the worst case, it will make the boss completely invisible. Also untargetable, which is a real problem. If you do summon an Ash, though, the AI doesn't care and will accurately attack the invisible boss, revealing where it is to you. The boss itself deals a lot of damage and fast, but because of that, it's quite squishy and staggerable. So you can definitely cheese it with fast attacks that interrupt the combos, especially if you stagger it, which again I saw multiple times, as well as the shield weapon being great too. But yeah, there you have it. As many in-depth details as I could catch and break down for you. I hope this deeper look at everything was what you were looking for, without having to scroll through it all yourself. If you guys spotted anything else, let us know in the comments. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching.
Wow, that's a really cool freaking DLC. More than what I expected, actually. Let me know what you think in the comments down below if you're picking this one up. I'd like to know. And if you're switching a build, I think I might be switching. That katana, those beast gloves, holy crap. I don't know where to start. This is going to be taking up a lot of my time. I know that for sure. But hope you enjoyed, guys, and hope I didn't spoil anything. I will catch you in the next one.